Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios. There's my new intro.
Captain
Weekly Wing It number 121 here on Rumble and YouTube. And starting it off with us tonight in that big box right over there is Mr. Frederick Guimon.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm just discovering game modding over the weekend, specifically with Fallout New Vegas, and I'm having a blast. I'm not even playing; I'm just modding and adding mods.
Whose mic am I hearing?
That's the mod.
I think it's Maji.
What are you hearing?
I might have to mute your mic.
Why? What do you hear?
Because I hear like
some kind of background noise.
Yeah.
Oh, I was typing. Sorry.
Oh, it stopped, thankfully.
Yeah.
And in that box right up there above me, waiting to step on my head if I get out of line, is Mr. Billy Bob Sack.
Couple. Also, let me play this clip.
Yes! Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott. Your tears are so yummy and sweet. Dude, I think it might be best for us to never piss Cartman off again. Good call. Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Yummy.
That's
Well,
a good
damn.
clip.
Well, that's one way to join a stream.
Yes, we.
And next box down, we got... Anyways?
James!
Yo, how's
Frederick,
the
did
universe?
you just stick your finger in a badger's face?
Well, he wanted to put his pin 15 on him.
I'm the Vanna White of YouTube now.
Hold up, Frederick. Where's your pin 15?
I'm pointing at James now, so we can talk about
Pointing
James.
at me.
Mr. James Esparza.
Hail, spent the day waiting to do stuff for work that I get to do tomorrow. Now I am here.
Nice.
Waiting could be more exhausting than actually doing.
Maji!
Sometimes.
Hi, I'm Maji.
Welcome,
All right.
Maji. How you
Otter.
doing?
I was expecting like an
Oh,
AA.
yeah.
Hi, Maji.
Tears of unfathomable sadness.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good evening, everyone. It's been one hell of a day, and I'm ready to throw some rocks, metaphorically, of course.
Where's your cat frequency?
Thankfully, if I know what you're about to play, he's not in this room.
Anyways.
For $200, Frederick will offer you a vowel. Mr. Herman P. Hunter, the Lore Forge.
Are we finished with the intros? We have Lord Otter down here.
Yeah, we're
Do
Yeah,
do
we're
intros?
doing
Like
the
we like
intros.
to call him the Lord Squatter.
The Lord Squatter. Okay, I'll take it. Why not?
unfortunately I'm getting some serious lag, so I gotta cut the OBS or OSB, the OBS out of the equation here to stop skipping.
Wait, what do you got OBS open for?
So I
He's
could
gonna
do
be
things like this.
Playing a video
Or
game.
that.
right now.
Teddies.
Whoa.
Tebe.
No teddies.
La Tebe.
No tummies.
Jimmy.
Tebe.
Anyways, in other news, Nintendo.
What do they do
They
now?
decided to raise their prices by 40% because
So you weren't
just
joking.
playing too much, you know? You bitched and you moaned.
Hey, we're YouTubers. We're good at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on $90 to $100 games.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they're not even going to send the game in a box anymore. It's going to be
Yeah,
it's just gonna be
80
a
bucks for
sticker.
a digital is bullshit.
Send it in a toilet roll tube.
Well, no, they're going to send it on a sticker.
So the actual
It
price of
only
the
lasts about
console
90
isn't.
days, and then you have to rebuy it.
So the actual price of the console isn't that expensive, in my opinion, compared to a few others out there. It's
Yeah.
the game prices, though, where I'm like,
Agreed.
oh, that's kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, the
Yep.
console, I mean, that's the same price as a PS5. I agree.
Yeah, but it's isn't it like the power?
PS5s I
like
thought were like
PS4?
over 500.
Yeah, but isn't it like the power of a PS4?
It's the
There's
power of
something
a
in
PS4
between, I
and the
think.
portability of a laptop.
Mm. Yeah, but you can get a Steam Deck for that price and get better.
I think that's what a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
the
people have
thing,
been
too.
saying. Why buy a Switch 2 when you can just buy a Steam Deck?
Especially
the,
when
Some people are probably
great-
saying, why buy a Steam Deck when for $50 more you could get a Switch too? You know,
Well,
Well,
the
no,
hardware.
my favorite is the director saying if you can't afford a Switch 2, you could always get a Switch 1.
yeah, that
Which
was
I
a
would do.
bad move.
Yeah, but Maji, the
Steam Deck,
CEO
hang on.
just admitted that you
Let
don't
me
need to buy
blow
this
up that
piece of
screen
shit
there,
by saying
Frederick.
that. And by the way, that's just letting you that you're paying for the Switch 2. If he's saying that, that means every Switch 2 game is going to be on Switch 1.
Hey, Frederick, I know the best game to play on the Steam Deck.
Which
Trust me
one?
on this. It's
Fruit
called. It's a little game called Fear and Hunger. I think you'll like it.
Fear.
I'm being totally
I'm trying to
genuine.
get a hold of King Bob to see if he wants to come on and talk King of Kings with me.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, I
Well-
heard it's been getting good reviews.
Oh yeah,
I
we'll
haven't even
definitely
seen the
discuss
trailer.
that in a little bit because I haven't seen it yet, but I would like to. Anyway, Readout says in the year 2025, one mortgage gets you one digital copy of a game.
Right.
Having never played a game on Switch, it seemed to be the first thing Nintendo made in my lifetime that made an impact. Keep in mind, I've
Ooh.
grown up purely in the 21st century.
That's not true. I mean, the 3DS was one of the highest selling handhelds and just gaming console in general.
I actually still have
Am I
it.
the only one who really liked the GameCube? Probably.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
I
the
enjoyed
GameCube.
it.
I never got the GameCube. Unfortunately, it was such a short-lived lifespan that by the
Yeah, I'm
time
sure-
I had the money for one, I just bought a Wii instead.
Hold up, Frederick. You need to be working, boy. You need to be inking. What are you doing?
I am working. I'm starting my
He's working
career
on
as a gamer.
multi-formation.
However, there is something I need to address when I was bitching and moaning about the key cards instead of physical copies. I learned a few things.
Yeah.
If I understand them correctly, this is something Nintendo is actually doing that's a good thing, believe it or not, if I'm understanding it correctly.
hmm
Because
Another excuse not to own your games.
actually, that's not what Nintendo's doing exactly. See, a lot of third-party games on the Switch, not all, but a lot, you'll go pick one up off the shelf and you think you got a physical copy. You open it up, there's a piece of paper in there with a download code.
Yeah. been a
And
thing.
in fact, Ubisoft apparently is one of the companies that's swapping them out quite a bit. I had to
Yeah,
go
but
double check
Ubisoft-
mine.
So hold up. First of all, in Ubisoft, they're specifically wanting you to buy their subscription service to play
Yeah.
the games.
I went and double checked mine to make sure this is a physical copy. Thankfully, not a. But the thing is, because people were complaining about that, Nintendo put their foot down and said, from now on, if you sell a game as a cartridge, the full game must be on the cartridge. You know, if you're putting it on our platform, and if not, then you're going to do that in this key card, and it must be clearly marked on the box that it's a key card, not a cartridge. And the reason they're still allowing the key card is because some games are too big. Some second party or third party games are too big to fit on their cartridge entirely. So they allow
Yeah.
for that. It must be clearly marked.
Hold up. But is that true? Because
I
isn't
don't-
that cartridge-
That's why I said, if I'm
cartridge-
understanding this correctly. And
me
all
look
of
that up.
Nintendo's first party games will be on cartridge if you pick it up in the store. They're not doing first party key cards from what I understand. Unless the game is just flat out too big. So they're actually doing something, they're doing us as consumers a favor on that end and letting us know that yes, this is indeed a true physical copy, or if it's just a key card. It's clearly marked on the box because people were
Yeah, but
bitching.
how well is it marked?
I don't know. I haven't seen the boxes yet. But I mean, if that's the case, then that's a good thing. Nintendo putting its foot down so we can know whether we're getting a true physical copy. Because I mean, that is one thing Nintendo has consistently done, is given us the option of physical copies on their games. So the more third parties are the one. I mean, yes, Nintendo does a lot of the digital. When they stop putting stuff out to market, it's only available through their digital subscription. But when they're putting games out, you know, during their actual run, they give us physical copy options on all of them. I mean, even their remake of Metroid Prime 4, they they announced it would be available in physical because they know Metroid fans like to grab physical copies.
So far there are only 2 games the Switch 2 is like releasing with that actually look interesting to me. One of them is a pretty obvious choice. It's the new Metroid game. That looks pretty good. I don't know if it's enough for me to buy a console to play it, but it looks good.
Well, that's cross-gen. That is available on Switch 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you. Oh my god, it's the PS4 or PS5 and Xbox Series X shit all over again. Hey, we got a new console. Guess what? No exclusive games to it.
Well, the
Just
only
buy
other
upgrade.
game I can think of that looks interesting is the new Donkey Kong game. I'm like, okay, that game actually
looks
looks
like
pretty
fun.
awesome.
And that
That
one
looks like a
is a
blast.
Switch 2 exclusive because of its sheer size.
Okay, so there is one Switch 2 exclusive that actually looks really good. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little while.
And also, Metroid Prime 4 probably won't be out till after the Switch 2 launch.
There's some designs for the Switch 2 where some of the features I'm kind of left scratching my head a little bit. I understand the principle behind it, but it still makes me go why a little bit. Like the fact that you can use the controller, the Joy-Cons as like a mouse. I'm like, okay. Like Nintendo has kind of worked their way around that for decades. Why are they making the change for like mouse controls now?
Probably because they
The
want
Donkey
people to
Kong
release
Return.
first person. They want to encourage that other parties release their first person shooters on the Switch. Probably.
Probably. That would make the most sense.
And those who did test play Metroid Prime 4, they tried it in both regular controller mode and mouse mode, and they said mouse mode works great with that game.
Does it really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, remember, it is first person, so.
Yeah, that is very true. I was curious about that just because, like, Metroid Prime was one of those games where it worked very well with the Wiimote and the nunchuck. And
Yes, it did.
I'm like, this is actually like a dream setup. Like, you talk about like a solid control scheme for the Wii, that was it. I love that.
There were motion controls in the nunchuck as well, because if you remember when you use the grapple beam to rip a shield out of an opponent's hands, you would throw the nunchuck forward, hit the thing, and it would vibrate a little bit when you felt it latch on. You yank your hand back, and the shield comes out of the opponent's hands. It was very satisfying. I loved doing that.
It was a little jank, but it was still very fun to use. It made the grappling beam like really fun.
It did. That's probably the best in-game grapple feature I have ever played.
Yeah. It's weird to say because Metroid Prime 3 is not my favorite Prime game in the least, but I mean, that said, a lot of the motion control schemes they had in it were really fun. A few were a little gimmicky, but I'm like, I still had a ton of fun with that game.
Metroid Prime 2 kicked my ass.
Metroid Prime 2 is I don't know if it's my personal favorite out of the series, but it has my favorite story of just about any Metroid game.
I hope we get to revisit the Luminoth somewhere in the series because they were cool.
Yeah, the whole story around it, the whole setup was really cool. I really liked it.
Oh, it was certainly one of the best engineered of story-wise and mechanics of all the Metroid games. It was tough.
I mean, it was the standard light world versus dark world, which Nintendo's been doing that since forever.
Yeah, they know their way around that trope.
Yeah, they've been doing that since like A Link to the Past, so at least like 30 years. But what was
that was the last Zelda game I played, by the way.
What was cool about this one, though, was just the stakes behind it, because it's like, oh, yeah, you're saving the world, la-di-da, we've heard it before, but it's like, no, in this, you are actually saving their world. There's like probably a couple hundred of this alien race left. They're basically going into a deep sleep, preparing to go extinct. I'm like, that's kind of metal, I'm not going to lie, whenever you show up and save all of them. Because their planet is pretty much overrun.
No, I'll admit it. I didn't finish the game when it was on GameCube. Later on, when I had a Wii, I had ended up picking up the trilogy. So I decided to play through it again, and I beat it then. But I didn't realize till afterwards. I was thinking I must have gotten better. This didn't seem so bad, or maybe it's just the motion controls. But it turns out that they made it a little bit easier on the Wii. They turned the difficulty down a bit.
They rebalanced some of the fights. I do remember some of those boss fights being like bullshit hard.
What was it, like Dragona or something? It was the one that turned into the giant. Did the metamorphosis turn into giant dragonfly?
Something like that. I remember the one where it's like, I think he's the one where you get like a boost from. That was a really tough fight.
Otter,
Yeah.
Otter,
Yeah.
we got some planning to do.
What's that?
I'll let you know after stream. I'll let you know. Just saw something.
Planning related to what exactly?
Probably Castles and Crusades. I'm guessing.
Okay.
A gaming stream.
Oh, okay. I know one thing that started yesterday that's been pretty fun is Nikolai has been showing me around some of the Roll20 macros, and I've made myself a few.
You fucking pervert. You pervert.
Let's put it this way. This kind of started with Nikolai, and I just carried on the torch, because Nikolai was like, hey, I made a macro for healing. Can you add a bunch of like quotes for me, Otter? Here, I'll send you the list. And I'm like looking through them. I'm like, half of these are just like alluding to Cyanistra's tits.
Figures.
So Otter decided to make a macro for women's body size and tit size now.
Because you keep asking me to roll for boob size. That's why I did it.
There's no proof of this, sir. I think you're just accusing us of stuff.
Also, you all asked me to roll for dick size a couple of times. I'm just saying.
Well, you said the Minotaur was wearing like a cloth, okay?
So naturally, I got to roll for it.
And its dick got cut off.
Oh gosh.
I don't get paid enough.
Nearly landed on
You get
Blackwood.
paid?
He just
Yes.
barely dodged.
Oh boy. I've been looking
Anyways,
up-
I'm so happy that I made the conversation uncomfortable.
Hey guys.
Hi ho.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, how do we have a conversation like that and then transfer and then segue into King of Kings? I don't. It just doesn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, Otter, you do need.
You're
You
welcome.
might need to send me that PDF of that open one of Castles and Crusade.
The open one?
Yeah, whatever it was called.
Uh,
Same system, but it's not. It's just generic.
oh, you're talking
Yeah.
about Amazing Adventures.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's where it's like you can make it like sci-fi or like Pulp Fiction. It's meant to be a lot more generic.
Yeah, you need to send me that one.
Yeah, I bought the PDFs as well as the books. They're really solid. They seem kind of like a weird sort of merge between like Castles and Crusades and a system like Savage Worlds or GURPS. But I'm like, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It's more balanced. There's an actual system there for the most part.
Anyway, Animation Overload has joined us a little bit ago. We've had your comment up on the screen, but we haven't said hi yet. What's going on, Animation? Good to see you tonight. Hope we didn't scare you away with the
I'm pretty sure
rolling for
everybody's
body parts
annoying.
bit.
You're
Also,
welcome.
there's frequency.
I was going to ask if everybody saw the all-female space crew today.
The what?
No.
Well,
Yeah, my
technically,
big
it was
joke,
all-female passengers, but different people have different ways of saying it. What is it?
I honestly don't even know what space crew you're referring to.
It was
So-
an Amazon stunt. There's no
Um,
way they were able to pilot that themselves.
Well, no, they didn't. It's I wouldn't say it's fully automated. It's piloted from the ground crew. But it's is it Bezos or was it one of the other ones sent up a phallic-shaped space rocket to send a bunch of really rich women up into barely low Earth orbit to the point where they would experience, I think it was like maybe a minute worth of
Weightlessness.
weightlessness. And they made it this whole big, huge stunt of the first all-female space crew. And it's like, number one,
Would
they're
that
not
be
a crew,
Virgin
they're
Airlines?
passengers.
Would that be Virgin Airlines? Is that his company that does a?
No, this is Amazon Prime.
Well,
You
yeah,
think-
but I thought that's the airlines that he owned.
No, that's another billionaire because you're mixing up Bezos and what's his name? Who owns Virgin?
I don't remember, but you're right. I was thinking it was Virgin Airlines, but it wasn't. It was actually Bezos.
Mhm.
I thought Virgin Airlines was Bezos. But Frederick pointed out I'm mixing that up with somebody else.
Nope.
Some-
Virgin
some
Airlines.
other rich dude, I can't
Richard Branson is the one that owns Virgin.
Okay.
And isn't he like putting stuff up in space too, a little bit here and there?
He claimed to be doing that like years ago, and we've never heard anything about it since.
I think part of the thing is he's trying to put together like a space plane or something, and I think some of the early flights that they got the airplane up high enough, but now I think one of the things that they've been working on is an engine that can shift between atmosphere and no atmosphere, because in order to have movement in atmosphere, you have to have one type of engines, and then once you get to space, you need something completely different.
Yeah, you need thrusters at that point.
Yeah. But yeah, this was like Bezos' new thing, and it's. I think it was a complete promotion stunt in order to get people interested in wasting their money on going up to space. But
I
as
think he
the
was
in-
just tired of his girlfriend and wanted to send her as far as
True.
from him. I know. I'll just put her in a spaceship. and
Imagine if
is
if the other guy who was doing space and then quit, the Virgin Airlines guy. I imagine him kind of being like the penguins in Madagascar. They finally get to Antarctica and they sit there in a blizzard, look at each other and go, "This sucks," and then they leave.
maybe.
He finally got up there, looked around, went, "This sucks. I'm going home."
But it's been quite funny watching the internet's reaction to this non-crew being pretended as if it was an actual crew. They were just passengers. And a lot of the internet was complaining about the fact that this makes a mockery of real women astronauts. And the main one that they were pointing at was the first lady that went up into space. I can't remember what her name was, but she actually went through a lot of training, bunch of degrees and stuff.
And Tim Allen has joined us. What's going on, Tim?
Hey, Tim.
Hail, good sir.
All right, Queen Bob, you got to talk.
Yay!
He asked, "Who needs meat and what are we talking about?" Well, we were talking about Nintendo and their overpricing, and I was clarifying something on the key cards. Now watch. Next week I come out and go, "Up, I got that wrong too," and I got to correct again. But
Well, part of that problem is Nintendo is being very discreet because they know a lot of people aren't happy with what they're doing, which is only causing more confusion.
yeah, that's true because their silence is allowing incorrect things to keep circulating too.
Mm.
Here's the thing, though.
They're not going to be charging $90 for physical copy and 80 is going to be 80 both physical or digital. Still
the
way
thing,
too
though.
much, but
Nintendo probably thought they could get away with it. I'm more than willing to bet they legit thought they could get away with it.
oh yeah,
Because
they
look at all
thought
the
they had the
marketing
fans hooked.
schemes. Like, look at all the marketing schemes they've hatched over the decades. Many of them genius, but a lot of them are engineered for you to pay as much as possible on either their console or their game. Like the Switch itself is kind of genius when you think about it.
Oh yeah.
For like selling different like parts of the console, because like you buy the console itself, what are you
Very
actually
modular.
getting? Yeah, it's very modular, and that's how they can upcharge it very easily. Because you're
It's,
really
it's like the Samus's power suit of game consoles.
yeah, well, it's like you're paying like $300 for the console itself, which is really just like basically a tablet with a couple of Joy-Cons and a chassis.
Well, I
But-
mean, if you think how much an iPad costs, it's about the same.
Yeah, it's kind of the same because on top of that, it's like obviously you want to buy a second controller because like you're most likely going to be playing it with family or friends or something like that. On top of that, you want a pro controller, which is like $70 at its own rate. And like that's just one. If you want more than one, you got to pay extra. Then there's the games, which many of them are anywhere between 60 to $70. On top of that, if you want to get the really cool portability case, that's like an extra like $30, $40 at least. So it quickly stacks up.
Well, it doesn't help that isn't the Nintendo of the US vice chair president freaking a former EA Sports dude?
I think he
That
was
sounds about
replaced. I heard he was replaced after the fiasco.
That's
he already shot his mouth and got himself replaced.
About the Bowser guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
That said, this isn't exactly anything new for Nintendo. It's just I think there's a couple of reasons why it's really not working here. For one, we're in a very rough economic time. We've been in a very rough economic time for a few years now, like at least 3 to 4 years. And it's like we're kind of getting into that point where we're just starting to turn around. Like I know some people argue tariffs, but it's like here's the thing, like this is inflation catching up with us more than anything. And I'm willing to bet that was a big part of Nintendo's decision to upraise the price, because dollar has less value. You gotta close those margins somehow.
Yeah.
Second thing is they've been very clever for the longest time at being able to get their customers to pay more and make it feel good to pay more.
Mhm.
Yeah, the biggest issue is the lack of balance. Somebody actually went through and checked for inflation and all that and said, yeah, pretty much their games haven't changed price from, it's been proportionally the same with inflation. However, what people are making and the overall cost of living versus income balance has shifted greatly. So it's just out of whack. And Nintendo has always had the reputation for being the more economically accessible of all the game companies out there. And now that they're kind of up there with the others in the price range, but still putting that kind of price tag on the games itself is the big kick in the kick where it hurts. And as Billy Bob kept pointing out, now other companies are probably going to feel safe to start doing it if they get away with it.
Yeah, and
I find it funny. One of the first to challenge that is The Last of Us Collector's Edition, where most people are like, you've released so many of these damn things, we're not going to get it.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about it around GTA 6, saying that's the game that's going to bring in the new price range, right? That's the
yeah,
one
but
that's
I
gonna
don't actually believe it will.
bring in the new ceiling.
Yeah, but I don't actually believe it will.
It'll depend on how many people buy it at first. That's what's going to determine
Yeah,
it.
but I don't even think they're gonna do it because they want people to buy or have it entry level cost so they can get you on the online version in which they'll make their actual money.
Because this is a
And having their
huge game.
tech manual demonstration cost $10 is just insulting.
You will like it, and you will own nothing.
Yeah, I don't get how their tutorial on use should be a freaking $10 game when it should actually, because it's a tutorial, be a tutorial.
Oh, the
Man,
last
remember
they
when
had-
Wii Sports was free?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
It was a good game.
the president of Nintendo of America or CEO of Nintendo America, whatever his position is, had to convince Japan to do that because Nintendo Japan wasn't going to do that, and he actually kind of really butt heads with him over it and got him to do it, and it
Nice.
worked out well doing so.
Very well.
But yeah, I honestly don't find it too surprising that Nintendo kind of they screwed the pooch at least a little bit with game sales. I don't think it's a complete disaster. I think if they tone down the prices, like they could actually save it.
Yeah,
They could save face a little bit.
I'm still okay with their console price. I'm not a fan of how much it costs, but it actually makes sense to me. That
Right.
amount, it's tough because of the economy, but it actually seems kind of fair.
And if
Like,
you actually looked up the last price of a PS4 Slim before they stopped making them, it's literally within a $50 range. So it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like I mean, this is kind of what people have been asking for years, like console-wise, not price-wise.
Otter, your mic's going out.
What is it?
You were like your mic was.
It
You're
like-
losing sound. We
It
couldn't hear you.
washed out. It got watery for a minute.
How does it sound now?
Better.
Fine. I can tell you why. It's because I started the music, and I noticed whenever I start a new song, if someone starts talking at the same time, it kind of warbles out a bit.
Oh, it was probably internet connection or something like that. That's my guess. But anyway, like the console itself is what people have been asking for a while now, which is basically just have a powered up version of the Switch, because the Switch can
Yeah.
only do so much. But it like, and I'm glad that Nintendo's making some good calls.
The
Like,
Switch.
they're basically just upgrading a lot of their games on the Switch and like either reselling them or just if you got a subscription with them, it's like they're giving it to you for free, which I'm like, it's a little pricey, but I still understand it. It's just that $90 price tag where I think most people are taking issue.
Yeah, it's
Well, I mean, it's
It's not
$80
going to be
digital
trying
and
to-
90 physical, and then they're trying to say, well, this is only for certain games. And it's like, well, yeah, not really. It's going to be
Yeah.
for everything you buy.
they're from what I understand, they're not doing the night. That's something that they're doing in the UK, and the UK pushed back. But that's
Did
not that was not what they were doing here. And that was another thing because of their silence. That word got around and it spread and it spread, and we all thought it was going to be 90 for physical copy when the physical and digital are both going to be 80. Still too high, but they're both going to be 80.
Mhm.
And the way that the physical is done doesn't make sense to me because it's really not physical.
What do you mean?
How's it being done? What do you mean?
Well, isn't it just the download code or whatever?
No.
No, you're actually getting like basically a flash cartridge.
Yeah, Nintendo did mandate that all
Hmm.
any games that come in a cartridge must have the full launch game.
Okay.
Obviously, it can't have add-ons that come out after, but
Yeah.
they said if you're selling a cartridge, they told all the third party if you're putting it on a cartridge, it has to be the entire game. If it's not going to be the entire game, then it has to be on a key card, and it has to clearly state on the box that it's a key card, not a cartridge.
Mm.
Okay,
Because
okay. Can someone
because
pull up?
third party companies were putting out just download codes in the box on the current
Yeah.
Switch, and
Bethesda.
people were getting
Okay.
pissed.
Yeah, but I do
That's
want
what
to
I
ask
heard.
this. Can someone actually pull up a box that has that, and let's see how good they display that?
Good idea.
Because they could say they have it on the box, but it's like in a tiny fucking corner. No one's gonna pay attention to it, you know. Or it could be that they're actually making sure it's well known on the box. It is not a physical disc.
So
It depends on the brand for that, because I know some of them have a little white strip right across the front of it, usually at the top that says DLC, not code and not actual copy. But it depends on the company it's from.
I was
At least
kind of
with the current
wondering.
discs.
I was kind of wondering
but
what you guys
Nintendo-
thought about like the
Nintendo-
new.
It's still on Nintendo's fault to make sure that these companies are following their regulations of what's being put on the box.
Yeah, it's a white strip with a blue like half globe on it.
So it's hidden.
Wow,
Is it?
that's really
There's the
prominent
bottom
there.
of the game pack right there.
Not very prominent.
Actually, that's better. I'm not gonna say it's the best, but it's not the worst either. Like compare this to like a
Okay, pull
buying
up
like
a
Fallout 4
Switch-
in the store, and
Pull
like
up the Switch Assassin's Creed 3 current game. You'll see what I'm talking about.
this is still not nearly as bad as some of the PC games that are sold on store shelves,
Pull it
where
up
it's like
on-
you actually have to check the back of the box and it's in small text.
Yeah, no. Right now, the way that Nintendo has it, it's pretty large. So I'm pretty sure Switch 2 is going to be the same way. Assassin's Creed is the one I can think of off the top of my head that has it. Now, find an actual box.
You know, you want to know the saddest part about this? It's the fact that you're
Hmm.
buying an Assassin's Creed game on a Switch.
See that one right there? Second one in on the picture?
This one?
Yep. No, it's just one that we have at work. But that blue font right there at the top.
Oh my god, it's even in nasty French. Look at that, Frederick.
Game card not included.
Mm-hmm. So they warn them now.
Okay, so
I
they're
still
actually
think
making
out of-
sure that it's on the box.
I still think out of all the game like boxes I've seen, Bethesda games are the worst for hiding it. You actually have to check the back of the box
Yeah.
just to be told it's a Steam code you're being sold.
Well, that's not even English.
What
I
was
also
it?
remember Fallout 76, they were trying to give the game out for free. Like GameStop and all them.
Yeah.
Still couldn't get 'em. Still couldn't give people take it.
Skyrim, I think, at least had a DVD or something, didn't it? But you couldn't do anything except like
Yeah.
install it through Steam.
Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, a lot of the Bethesda ones have physical discs, quote unquote. However, they're actually key codes that you have to have connected to the internet or they will not play.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird, and I remember that.
They still have them. It's so stupid. They're
Oh,
fake
you're gonna
discs.
Google?
I was on DuckDuckGo, so I'm trying Google for this image search.
These companies always try to pull shit. They're trying to fuck us all.
I do want to kind of ask you guys about the new Mario Kart and what you all think about it.
It looks
Haven't
empty.
seen it.
Looks like
Yeah,
the last
It looks like fun. It really does.
I've heard a lot of mixed thoughts on it. That's the thing. And I think a big reason why people are mixed on it is like the in-between courses, because you actually look at the course layout and it's just like mostly straight lines. There isn't much actually going on. Then you get to the actual circuit part of the race and you're doing like one lap before the race is over.
There you go.
Is-
So
is
it's
that the
right
one that
there
I saw
along
the
the
meme
bottom, highlighted.
Is that the one that I saw the meme for where it said something about the extra content between things? It was kind of interesting, and he picked up some character to drive him somewhere, and then found out that he was being chased by like the police or something.
I don't know if he was being chased by the police or not. I know the Mario Kart game, it's got like, apparently it's open world now, which I really don't know how to think about that. It could work.
What's
it
up,
could be-
Kahuna?
It's probably similar to how Burnout did it.
Probably. I'm gonna be very hesitant about it until it comes out.
What console is that one coming out for? Is that going to be on the Wii One, whatever?
No, that one is a Switch exclusive. Or
The Wii
2
one.
exclusive.
The Wii one,
I don't care.
the Wii Woo.
We
Like,
would
yes.
like to play.
Kahuna asked, "What in the animu is that?"
What is anime?
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're asking about.
So animu is usually it's kind of like a word used to it's like the distinguishing factor between like anime and like weeb, you know, where it's kind of like it's a little more derogatory. It's talking about certain types of anime where it gets way too cutesy, a little cringe. That's anime.
Okay.
So would that probably be referring to this?
The one on the left, I guess.
Yeah, the one on the left.
That just went
for
all
sure.
funky on me.
Referring to all anime.
He is correct.
Like I played some Final Fantasy 14 in the past, and people will call that game anime, and I won't disagree with them on it. It is kind of anime.
Oh no! If I start speaking in a high pitched voice, I might convince people I'm a waifu. So
I
Well,
dare you.
it's not just that. It's like it's basically like having a lot of like very cutesy characters. Like think kind of like Pokemon. Pokemon is a little bit anime. Think sort of along those lines, and just apply that to just about every character you have. There you go. That's a pretty good idea of what anime is.
Yes, those Japanese cartoons.
I've heard it called Chinese cartoons, and that really makes me chuckle.
Are you
I love
Chinese
saying
or
Chinese
Japanese?
cartoons.
I wanna
That's
watch
how
my
that's how you
Chinese
can bring the.
cartoons.
That's how you can find out who's a weeb or not. Call them Chinese cartoons.
Yeah.
何を言ってんだよ、このバカ外人。
I bet
That's what
that
she said.
just pisses off the anime and manga industry so much.
It reminds me of the movie The Replacements, which either you know it or you don't. But there's just
I know it.
there's a scene where this guy's like, all right, he says like the Japanese guy is right. He's like, I'm Chinese, not Japanese.
No. You got it backwards. He's like,
Okay.
how did Chinaman here get 200 pounds on this shit? And he's like, I'm Japanese, not Chinese.
There you go.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I'm Laos, you idiot.
I just remember his reply being same difference. Same difference.
Queen Bob, talk to us.
Talk to us now.
All right, can we
Do it
change
now.
subjects?
I'm eating.
Have we killed the horse enough?
What was the horse?
I'm the horse.
He's the
His name
horse.
was Bob.
Of course.
He weighs
Didn't
the
they
size
just
of a horse
didn't
now.
Ripaverse just release some kind of horseman comic?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No
The
one's excited
horseman
for the
cometh.
horseman?
Pause.
Well,
Like,
Love-
has he really just lost that much good faith in people?
that wasn't even his invention. That's
No?
Chuck Dixon made that up with. Well, actually, I think it was the artist who proposed that to Chuck Dixon, and together they proposed it to Eric, who made a comic with it.
Thing
Well-
is, I have a lot of respect for Chuck Dixon, but I'm like, Chuck, come on, man. Like, this is not the best name.
Horseman.
Don't type horseman in your search
that's
bar,
true.
okay? You might get results that you don't want to see.
By the way, I need to admit my ignorance here. Tim Allen asked anyone here into RTS games? What's RTS stand for? I'm blanking.
Real-time
Real-time
strategy.
Top-down army control game.
Talking about
Oh, gotcha.
the Warcraft games, Starcraft games,
Atari
Red Alert
Warriors.
games.
Age of Empires.
Dune.
XCOM.
Yep.
A lot of others.
Actually,
No,
XCOM is
XCOM
not
is-
RTS.
No, it's
turn-based.
That's
Based.
true.
Yeah, I had to get that refunded. I didn't like that at all.
What?
Oh,
Oh,
you don't
You
like
are
XCOM.
crazy.
Which
James,
XCOM are you talking
Okay.
about?
XCOM
They're
2.
both good.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. I thought you were talking like the original XCOM or XCOM
Wait.
Enemy Unknown. I'm like, no, those games are great.
you refunded
like
a $3
XCOM.
game?
It was $10.
Oh, you bought it for 10, huh?
Yeah, and I just played 15 seconds plus the 5-minute intro.
Wow.
Really? The intro?
Oh, that's nice.
The intro's fine. It's just I thought the bad guys looked really cool, but as soon as I saw because it didn't really fit with the Steam Deck. Like you really need a mouse and keyboard to play that.
Oh,
And
Steam Deck incompatible.
I mean, you could technically move around the cursor with the joystick, but it was just it was not gonna.
Yeah,
Oh,
but can't you connect up a mouse and keyboard to the Steam Deck?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
It's like when they put Red Alert on PlayStation. It's just kind of a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons I haven't picked up a Steam Deck. It seems like there's just a lot of compatibility issues, and a lot of having to fiddle around with stuff before
It is on
works.
sale for like $10.
Frederick, you really need to play Fear and Hunger. I'm telling you, man.
Play what?
It's fun for the whole family.
Yes, it's
That
Berserk.
sounds like
and it's very
Stormfield's
Berserk.
version of Family Friendly.
Can we pull up a trailer or something and see what it is?
You ever wanted to feel like what it's like to be Costco? Play that game.
Oh God.
I never want to feel that. Never.
It's basically Berserk meets Silent Hill, and the whole thing is that it's grim, dark, like top-down JRPG, kind of. But here's the thing: there's no XP, you don't level up, but the real strategy is figuring out how to basically get one over on the game itself, because the game does not give a fuck about you. So you got to beat it at its own game.
All right, interesting.
It's a game that's streamed a lot. Like a lot of Twitch streamers will actually stream it.
Is it like that that movie where you're playing against the AI and the only way to win is not to play the game?
No.
War games?
Yeah, war games.
I do
The
really like
Kobayashi
war
Maru?
games.
No, that's Star Trek.
Oh.
It still applies. Just got to be like Kurt and cheat.
Yeah, basically. Just hack your way through it.
I kind of want to play Halo.
You know there was somebody in canon who, after Kirk, ended up beating the Kobayashi Maru?
Who's canon?
Yeah, I can't show that on YouTube.
What?
How's this on YouTube, by the way?
In Trek canon, there is someone who actually beat the Kobayashi Maru, and he's from Deep Space Nine.
Julian.
Nope, it was Nog.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
He tried to negotiate with the Klingons, and he kept bouncing it back and forth so much in the discussion, and he was talking so fast and getting that the computer actually it hung up because it was just outside the programming purview. Nobody ever expected someone to try and strike deals with the Klingons, and the game and pretty much the whole simulation froze.
Actually makes sense.
Bad game design, I think.
Well, it wasn't a game.
Well, it's a simulation, same thing.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a no-win scenario, but everyone's always trying to out-strategize him. He just straight up started negotiating and then kept altering the deal like a fast-talking salesman to the point where the whole thing just hung up.
Wow.
And Scotty got pretty far along. He didn't beat it, but man, it looked like he was going to for a bit. He did all these tech tricks with the weapons that just very unconventional, and he got far, but eventually he just couldn't pull the whole thing off.
He needed more crystals.
He used every mechanic hacker's trick in the book and rigged up the weapons to just really threw everything for a loop. But it's called the no-win scenario for a reason.
Oh, so Kahuna's talking in the chat. He's talking a little bit about Fear and Hunger. So yeah, Kahuna, it's one of those games where it's like the game is brutally difficult, but it's kind of like Dark Souls in the sense that if you know what to do, you can really get ahead. It's one of those games where it's like just as much as your character can die a very horrible death, they can also ascend to be their own deity or something like that. I think one of the most iconic moments early in the game is you can get carried away to where it's just it's like a hallway of just bodies or something like that. A head pops out of a wall and he's like, "Hiya, you should really get out of here. I don't want to deal with you." All the while you go into a battle and it you can't harm the head at all. It's like dude's like an undead god or something like that who's just hanging around. All the while you've got like
so he shuts up.
well, you can actually talk him out of it if you know what to do. If you have the right items, he can join your party and you can wreck shit. But by default, the game actually has like Nosferatu Zod knockoff, kind of like going from the background, just slowly going to trample you. So the game's brutally difficult, but if you know what you're doing, you can really own it.
Yes.
Also, RH Snow just showed up.
Also,
Hey,
RoboCop is on sale for
Hey,
$12
Snow.
on Xbox.
Yeah, RoboCop is worth it. If you like the movie RoboCop, it really delivers on the feeling, and it's faithful to it. The story takes place between RoboCop 2 and 3, like chronologically, but it's pretty faithful and violent.
Well, yeah, it's RoboCop.
But it's mostly like just a shoot 'em up, right? It's just
Yeah,
a
it's a
shoot.
first-person shooter.
Yeah, sophisticated like shooting range.
Snow's asking, what's this game with the Nosferatu knockoff?
I'll say this, RH Snow. You probably don't want to check it out. It is a game that's streamed a lot. It's called Fear and Hunger. If you've ever wanted to play a game that's a cross between Berserk and Silent Hill, well, that's your game.
Hold up, I think she's thinking of Nosferatu the vampire.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Berserk, I got bored and started talking to Grok again, and I couldn't help but ask, what if Peter Griffin and Ernie the Chicken were fighting in the middle of Berserk's eclipse? Oh, the scenario, it spun me on that one.
So this is what the Zod that Otter's talking about. I heard if you put out catnip, he's fucked, you know. How has no one thought of that, Otter?
You know, it's a good
Like all they had to do was throw a ball of yarn. And they would
a
have beaten
good
him.
question.
It was a
all you had to
workout,
do.
huh? Interesting.
The what?
That was a workout, apparently.
What was the workout?
Nosferatu thing you were hovering on there. It said real life berserk workout.
Oh, I have no clue.
Berserk workout.
Apparently.
Snow says she would totally play.
There is like, to my knowledge, there is like a streamer friendly version where it's like they have all the nasty anatomy. They've actually got censored with pine cones. It's actually a little funny. So it's like some enemies, it's just pine cones. That's it. So that way you can actually stream it on Twitch and stuff like that. The thing is, high level gaming in that whole game is basically knowing what you need to do and what you don't need to do. It's counter to most RPG logic, where if you get into a fight in most RPGs, you're going to get experience and level up. In this game, it's actually better to avoid fights unless you really know how to outsmart them, because you don't gain a benefit from it. In fact, you're just all the more likely to die. So it's more of a survival horror game that you also kind of learn how to power game a little bit. It's interesting. The more I've seen of it, the more I'm like, hey, there's a lot to this game. It's actually really cool.
Yeah, speaking of difficult games, ever since I finally beat Lady Ethereal and Nine Souls, I tried to pick it up a couple times since then. I would like run around a little bit and just put the controller down. It's like, I'm out of steam on this one. It just, which sucks. It is such a good game. It just kicked my ass so hard that I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done for a while. Even if I did go out and finally beating that boss that was giving me trouble, but you ever do that? You finally beat that one place you were stuck, and when you're done, you're just done.
I think of Calamite from Dark Souls 1. God, that fight gave me so much trouble. RH Snow, What are you doing? Oh my god. Okay.
The two fucking brothers in Dark Souls 3 actually gave me one hell of a trouble.
Fear and Hunger. Yeah, that's the name of the game.
What are they called? Starts with an L.
Is it Lothric and Lorien?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really tough fight. I actually think I kind of cheesed that fight when I played through the game.
The only reason it was tough for me is because of the fucking second phase.
The second phase is brutal.
Little shit.
I am not ashamed to admit that I summoned an ally for that fight.
The dragon armor one was hilariously easy. I beat
I
that
actually
one try.
died a few times for that
Didn't
one.
even like try, and I killed it. And I went, what?
Oh no! What path am I taking RH Snowdown now?
Well, let's see. Well, she said
Oh, and the
she
Queen
did identify the
Valkyrie,
game.
the Queen Valkyrie in God of War 2018.
Can
Fucking hated that fight.
while we got the wonderfulest snow in the chat, can we talk about the movie real quick?
RH Snow's
Yeah,
saying the path of fun.
Yeah. Now, did both you and King Bob see this?
Yep.
Yeah, I ended up with plans went in a completely different direction for me over the weekend, so I didn't make it to the theater. But yeah, I didn't want to try and go see it next weekend. I figured next weekend the theaters are going to be packed for this one.
Yeah, but it'd be worth it, I think.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, one of you sent me a link to the trailer, so let's go play that before we get chatting on it. Working on the share part here.
You're good.
And I should probably cut the Brinstar music out of the background for this.
You need to have like the Norfair music or something like that.
I have that somewhere, but I never detached it and put it in as an audio file. I do have the best version of Ridley's theme now, though.
I'm
I
trying to
really
remember.
wanted to play that when the dragon came out because, you know, Ridley's kind of a dragon.
I'm trying to remember if we played the what is it, like the one mix that Metroid Prime 2 had of like, it was like a Super Metroid track, but I love it to death. It's like the Torvus Bog soundtrack.
Red Soil.
Is that it?
Yeah, Lower Brinstar from Super Metroid.
Lower Brinstar. Okay. Yeah, it's like the Lower Torvus Bog. They did a remix of that track and it sounds incredible.
Very Native American tribal sounding in parts of it. The tune, depending on the version, not so much the Torvus Bog version, but the especially the Dread version of it, and it just sounds so good. And you know what? I'm getting off track. Let's check out this trailer, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me for just a moment.
King Arthur!
Get down from there!
1, 2, 3!
You are not King Arthur!
Charles, you're going to tell him a great story about forgiveness.
Can we do this without the cat?
Stop right there.
Our story began 2,000 years ago when baby Jesus came into the world.
Wait, stop. If it's not about a king, then I'm not interested.
This story is about the King of Kings.
If you're with me, then I know that I will fly.
It has angels and wicked kings and miracles.
What is this?
Oh, so you want to hear the story now? Why don't we help Jesus along the way?
There's not nearly enough food here to feed all of these people.
I hope this helps.
Look! There's something out there! Don't be afraid.
This was a miracle to some, but a threat to others.
Why don't we just turn the people against him?
Open up my eyes and see. And I'm not only wishing, dreaming.
Thank you.
Can't you help it?
Yes, but not the way you think.
Daddy.
It's time. This is what my father wants. I'll accept it, and so should you.
You see, a true king serves his subjects.
If you have faith, you'll become stronger than before.
It is a great story.
King of Kings from Angel Studios
Alright,
is
you
the
get
first
this
major
part.
animated biblical movie since The Prince of Egypt. So we
That's what I was thinking. This is like the first real biblical movie I can think of since Prince of Egypt.
Okay, so I do have one thing to say because a lot of people see Mark Hamill's name and it's like automatically I refuse to see it. He makes a really good King Herod.
Oh, it's got a pretty stacked voice cast, it looks like.
It is impressive. The A-list names they've got on there is insane.
Yeah, a lot of people refuse to see it because of some of the people on there, but the roles
That's
they have, some
dumb.
of them fit really well.
Here's the thing, like I would argue 90 to 95% of celebrities are pieces of garbage. Like a lot of them just are willing to hide it. I don't place faith in Hollywood celebrities. I really don't.
Mhm.
So I'm like, if you want to watch a movie, watch the movie.
Yeah. Like I said, Mark Hamill plays a really good Herod. Very selfish, very good at it. But
Mark Hamill traditionally does very well with it. Whatever voice role you give him, he does put effort into him. I mean, most
He's a
iconic for
phenomenal
the
voice
Joker.
actor.
Excuse me. Most iconic for his voice role is the Joker, and they said I've heard interviews where people said who worked in the Batman the Animated Series that everyone else is in their booths. They're just speaking into a microphone. Where if you saw Mark Hamill in his booth, he was standing up, he was gesturing, and full body. The dude was just into it, and that's why he gave such a phenomenal performance. And he
So-
said when he came to the laugh, he thought of it as a musical instrument that announces the Joker's mood, and tried to never have two laughs exactly the same.
His son can't watch Batman the Animated Series anymore. Because he went full Joker on him with telling his son that his girlfriend needs to get an abortion.
Yeah, that was a pretty dark situation. I don't even know why we were all hearing about it, but that was kind of nasty. Kinda.
I will say this though, Mark Hamill he's a good actor, but he's a phenomenal voice actor. I think his whole career took off even more when he got into voice acting. I just think he's better at it
Yeah.
than regular.
I think of him more as the Joker than Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I do too.
What was funny is he was on a talk show one time, and of course, I think it was during a different Batman movie, but they had him on, and they said that they had they did a vote on most popular of all the Jokers. His was in there. He was like he wasn't at the top, but they had him read down the placement list in the voice of the Joker. So I mean, he was having fun with it, and he knows how to play to an audience when he doesn't get wrapped up in his wacky politics.
I'm still of the unpopular opinion that I don't know if you could strictly call it a biblical film, but the film I always think of that has the best writing and echoes a lot of biblical themes is Ben-Hur, like the 1950s
original.
remake. Yeah, like I love that film to death. I think that's a phenomenal film.
Ben-Hur is a classic.
Kahuna. Luker greater than Joker, you filthy heathens. Hey, Christy, how you doing?
I don't know why anyone would listen to somebody who's named after a sandal.
He was also animation says Hamill is also Uzziah from Avatar. Hey, he was also the Hobgoblin in Spider-Man the animated series.
He's done a lot of voice roles, that's the thing. Like more than you think. And that's why I say I think he's a better voice actor than actor, because what's his actual physical acting talent? Like, to my knowledge, he's just done Luke Skywalker. Has he done too many other roles?
He was in
He
Big
played
Red
the
1.
He
It was a
played
terrible
the
movie.
villain in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I don't think that counts. No, he was in Big Red 1. It was a World War II movie. It was a terrible movie.
Okay, I've never seen it.
I seen parts of it.
I fell asleep during it.
Oh, so if you're looking for a very cheesy flick, I know this is a little off topic. If you're looking for some cheesy fantasy that feels like a D&D movie at its very core, I just watched Deathstalker 2, and
heard of
holy
that one.
crap, that movie feels like a D&D film more than any other movie I can think of.
I think
In a
I
good
heard
way?
of that one.
In a
I
good way.
remember of Deathstalker. Is that the one where it opens up with the title sequence where a girl, like this crazy looking rogue queen lady's like, I'm gonna kill so and so, and Deathstalker 2. Then it opens up title sequence. Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, more or
don't
less. I don't really recommend the first movie. The first movie's a little weird in my opinion. Second
They
movie
usually
though
are.
is pure cheese. Just pure like 80s fantasy cheese, and it's really fun.
They usually are.
So Maji and King Bob, you guys both saw the movie. What do you guys got to say?
It was good. The music was okay. I don't really care for the bobblehead animation style. So I'll probably never watch it again. I'd rather watch The Chosen if I'm going to watch something like that. The Chosen is far better in my opinion.
I still
The
haven't
Chosen?
seen. I need to watch that.
What's The Chosen?
It's the same people except it's live action.
So this movie, okay, first things first, you got to understand, this movie is based off of Charles Dickens' novel, which is based off the Bible stories. But Charles Dickens' Life of Jesus Christ, or I think that's the official name of it, was a story he wrote for his kids to tell during Christmas time. It was never intended to be published.
I don't think it
But-
was published till after his death, actually.
Yeah, about 60
Yeah,
years
it
after his
wasn't.
death, one of his kids published it as a last memorial to their father. And so what's nice about this one is it's Christian based, but it's religion neutral. You can't tell if it's Protestant, Catholic, Mormon, none of that. It is strictly through the eyes of a story designed to tell a child. What is even more fascinating about this movie is, okay, so it's cute. You can tell it was written for kids. So, like, they don't go too into depth into it, but, like, the crucifixion scene is pretty heavy, even for a kid. But you're seeing the stories of Christ through a child's eyes. Like you saw in the trailer, he's kind of in the story. He's intermixing. He's allowing his imagination to see it as it's being told. And then there's a lot of like father-son scenes of a dad trying to connect to his kid. And there's even in the beginning of the movie, there's miscommunication between the two. That's why the wife's like, hey, talk to him. Tell him that story you've been working on. But so that's I liked it, but here's the thing. I went with friends who have kids because I don't have kids. Their 3.5-year-old. Keep in mind, this is a drive-in theater, so there's kids everywhere, cars. You know, it could get a little chaotic. Their 3.5-year-old, well, about 3 years old. I don't know the exact age, but you know, toddlers, was mesmerized and couldn't take his eyes off the screen. Like he was hanging on to it. The entire area was quiet through most of the movie. And then during the crucifixion scene, Christ screams, I can't say it right, Elohim? Like, it doesn't scream it, but cries it out about 3 times. About the 3rd time, a little girl about 2 or 3 cars down yells out with him. So this movie does what it's supposed to do, and it talks to kids in a way that parents might not be able to.
Yeah, I will agree with, what was it, you, King Bob, that said not a fan of the art style.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not that it's bad. It's just I'm not digging the art style either. But it looks like it's quality still.
I'll say anything other than the characters is absolutely gorgeous. Like the scene that you're paused on right now, where he's in the storm, is insanely beautiful.
The characters themselves, they kind of scream of every animated movie ever, just a little bit.
It's like, how can we look like both Pixar and DreamWorks, but not?
Right. Well, it feels like a lot of those 3D animated projects you see that are done by indie studios, where it's like they're either testing out a new technique or they're wanting to show their actual animation chops. That's the feeling I kind of get from the animation.
Yeah, I still would like to see this, and it is kind of cathartic to see this movie smack down Snow White even harder.
That is really cathartic.
Yeah, animation.
To be fair, that wasn't too hard to do. Yeah,
that is true.
You got a point.
Maji was telling me that some people were saying that this movie was better than Prince of Egypt. They are full of crap. This is nowhere near anywhere as good as Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt is just an A+ movie, and this does not touch it.
I need to rewatch that movie.
Prince of Egypt
so
was
many years since I've
so
seen it.
good.
See, here's the thing. Story-wise, I think it is as good as Prince of Egypt. However, music-wise and animation, not close.
Well, yeah, but story-wise, you're not. It doesn't say anything. It's written by one of the best authors ever written, and it's a story that we all know and love. So, if you screw it up, we're really, really gonna hammer it home.
Was this made by a big studio or was it a tiny studio?
No, it's Angel Studios.
That doesn't tell me anything.
They
It's
are
tiny. Independent studio.
Independent Christian-based studio that have been doing a lot of uplifting stories.
I saw them in Nashville when I visited there because they did a video series to educate kids, and one of the lessons was on Bitcoin, of all things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep, I believe that.
All right, that's based.
That couldn't get any
Listen,
more up
kids,
your
didn't
alley,
you
brother.
know Jesus buys Bitcoin?
Well, they did a lot of their filming here in Utah because they were good friends with all the Mormon people here until they had a giant falling out, and that was all sorts of
Doesn't
fun.
surprise me with the Mormons. Dum 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 dum. We gotta make a clip of that, by the way. Frequency.
Agreed.
Total Twins is very good.
Yeah, Total
Let's
Twins.
catch up with the chat here.
That's the name, correct?
While I was outside, I saw the chat going, but didn't have my glasses with me, so I couldn't read it.
I have all of the Total Twins kids books. I think they're phenomenal.
So yeah, it's a book series and it's a video series too, right?
Yeah.
Because you
They're
can't buy
very good.
them. You can't even buy them individually. You have to buy the whole kit together.
I don't remember because I bought the pack like forever ago.
Yeah, because people wanted to get just the Bitcoin episode, but they were like, "No, you got to buy the whole pack." Because they had a kiosk at the Bitcoin conference.
Oh, okay.
Seemed to
Well,
be
that
good.
doesn't surprise me. They're very libertarian.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that friggin' Angel
Either way,
Studios
it's
is no
impressive
names.
for them. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't really expect them, to be honest, to be as impressive technically than like a majorly backed movie like Prince of Egypt was.
Well, it's
Who
not the
was the one who
first time.
produced it?
When they did their Sound of Freedom movie, it did insanely well. It blew out the whatever movies were going on at that time as well. So it's not the first time they've done this.
Yeah. Kahuna says, I was just going to let my kids watch Passion, but maybe this is better.
It's definitely more designed for kids, unlike Passion just goes into the whole graphic detail. This shows hints of the graphic
You mean like
details.
what actually happened?
Yeah. Well,
Not-
this shows some of it, like it implies it, but it still has that child innocence to it that they know it's, painful and all that, but it doesn't go into
Are you telling me in
graphics.
the movie when they get to them flogging Jesus, someone
no, they
just throwing
flog him.
a tomato can everywhere?
No,
flog
they,
him.
they
Look,
flog
guys.
him. You just don't see it. You hear it, but you don't see it.
You do see the scars on him.
You know exactly what he's doing. Kids know exactly what he's doing, but they still kept it for kids.
We're still talking about the Passion.
No, this is King of Kings.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because Passion, I mean, it's more of a teen movie, right? With the
Oh
whole...
no, that's like
No,
hard
that's
R.
rated R.
Yeah,
No, it's full rated R. Frederick?
It's
It's
pretty
going into
in-depth.
full on graphic detail on like Christ being like crucified and everything.
Frederick, have
Well,
you
It's
watched
far
Passion
more
of the
gruesome
Christ?
than people
Or
realize.
how long
No.
has it been since you've watched it?
No, I haven't.
They-
I haven't watched it.
Crucifixion
You
was
haven't
not.
watched it? No, I
No.
mean like it goes full on to him getting flogged with the
Yeah, I heard about it a
one with the
lot.
bone. What is it called?
Like
Gino,
everyone,
you should actually know this.
everyone was talking about
Yeah.
it for 6 months when it came out. Like it was a
Flogging
huge,
is nasty. Crucifixion is really nasty.
Well, they
None
specifically
of this stuff
ha-
is good with.
the whip thing. It has the bones and
Yeah.
all kinds of other shit in
The
it.
cat
that's
of
what's
nine
tearing
tails?
up.
Yeah, Cat of Nine Tails.
Yeah.
And the star got hit by lightning a couple of times as well. It went pretty bad.
So you
during
should
filming.
watch it, Frederick.
I will. I will.
I do think everyone should watch Passion at least once, but I do think it's insanely overrated.
Yeah. And one thing I was when I was doing research on it for writing, I looked up what being hung on the cross does to the body. They have to pull themselves up just to take a
Yeah.
just to
They
exhale.
suffocate.
Yes,
And
they
yet-
suffocate to death.
yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's just ugh.
And I
It
heard
was
that
not a good way to go.
I heard that Mel's working on a sequel now. Like, what happens when the apostles find him after 3 days? Apparently, they're
Yeah, he's
doing-
wanting to do like a
Can you make a
resurrection.
movie out of that?
Yeah, apparently Jesus goes. There's the whole going to hell and heaven and the whole thing that he wants to do in a sequel. So I don't know.
Where he goes to Sheol and frees everyone from Abraham's bosom, and I think makes proclamations on the not so nice side of it.
Yeah, it would be the same.
Problem is, why
same
wouldn't you
actor.
just follow the apostles instead of all that? Just follow the apostles. There you go. You got a story. Yeah, you can still have them. They all get killed, executed.
Yeah, you could still be as violent as the first one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know.
Peter
Oh, the way Peter went, ouch.
Yeah,
I
upside down
don't recall
crucifixion.
all of them, but I do remember a couple of them were pretty nasty.
Well, even Paul. I think he was just beheaded, wasn't he?
I think so. Which is probably one of the easier outs that they had.
Well, he was tortured as well. Him and Silas were both whipped pretty badly
Yeah,
along the way. And then there's also the social castigation that he got that pretty much no one else got from both sides, mind you.
Well, because he was
Yeah.
originally I forgot what position, but he was a Jew. He was hunting down Christians in his life before he converted.
Paul?
Who's that?
No, it's not Paul.
Saul?
Saul.
Saul,
Yeah, it
Paul is
was
the same
Saul.
person.
Saul became Paul, and he went from being one of the worst sinners to one of Christ's biggest
Okay,
advocates.
Maji, he's still Paul. He didn't magically turn into a new person.
No,
Well,
I just
In a way,
that
he
depends on
did,
how you
but-
look at it. because-
Yeah, that's kind of why sort of where the name change also came from. as
Yeah,
well,
but did
'cause
he turn
was-
into a completely new person, meaning like a new being? Not really.
I would argue that he did, though, because you
yeah,
completely
that's the
changed
whole point of repentance and being reborn.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
No, I
Still the
understand what you're
same-
saying. He's
What
still
I'm
the
still
same
saying,
individual.
Paul, and I'm saying Paul before he converted.
You're dead
He's
naming.
still
You're
Paul.
dead naming him.
him. Oh my god!
Trying to bust my balls over this shit. It's so stupid.
But it's amazing when you think about it. He went from persecutor and murderer of Christians, one of the worst people out there, to being the guy who wrote a huge chunk of the New Testament. It just goes to show you there's hope for everybody out there. No matter how far off the rails someone gets,
A lot
it's
of the
possible
greatest
they can be reached.
A lot of the greatest believers are also some of the most flawed human beings.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's quite noticeable when you read through is all the great men of the Bible. It shows them warts and all, their biggest failing. Every single one of them had some horrific failings. Aside from Job didn't seem to have that much, although he was still not perfect. Only one was perfect, and we're looking at a representation of him on screen here. But Animation Overload says, I identify as an apostle.
Yeah.
And not
Billy is
off
gay,
topic
huh?
at all, Kahuna says Billy is gay. Confirmed.
Gay.
I believe it was actually Joseph who didn't have any of his sins actually recorded. Not saying, oh, he's sinless, but like the one who didn't have his sins recorded was
Yeah.
Joseph.
But I think that was very deliberate because it shows that, hey, these people that are held up in the Bible as great men, they're not perfect either. You don't have to be perfect.
I think of King David. That's like one of the first people I think of in the Bible.
Yeah, a man
That's
after
actually,
God's own heart.
Yeah.
And then that whole thing with Bathsheba.
And I would say that there's also a story of Joseph being that even if you are the guy who's so sinless and righteous in this position, you're going to get screwed over by people who aren't.
Yeah, because people suck.
Because people suck. There you go.
That is the whole lesson of this entire show.
Yeah.
These people suck.
Pray for your enemies.
Take that away from you.
So love
People
you.
suck. Here it is.
Love
People
one
suck.
another, you sucky people.
People
Yeah.
suck, but
Love
you
to
don't
suck
have
people.
to. People suck, but you don't have to.
No, I suck too.
But you don't have to.
Nope, I do.
You don't. People choose the suck. And that is the power of the suck. As some of you
What network
believe,
is that on, Kahuna?
some of you
Also
believe
David.
it is not your choice, but it is. Suck is choice.
Is that on Amazon? I think I saw it on Amazon.
The only thing I have is YouTube.
Honestly, I've been just binge watching frickin' Star Trek Voyager on Pluto TV. Because why pay for TV?
I don't know why that is my favorite of all the Star Trek shows because it really is one of the worst.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite. DS9 is probably my favorite, but
DS9 is objectively the best Trek show, the best
Yeah.
quality Trek show out there.
But
Yeah,
I
I
will
mean-
admit that when I first watched Voyager, I did not give it the credit that it deserves. It is far better than I first thought it was.
7 of 9 doesn't hurt either. But
Yes, she is gorgeous, but in addition to that, her character actually has a lot of really cool storylines.
yeah. Well, there's a lot you could do with that character. It's also the same show that people claim ruined the Borg. And I see what I see what they're saying because a lot of it, the Borg were demystified in that, and it some inconsistencies here and there, and well, we're nerd Trek fans, so we pick everything apart.
Well, the biggest problem with Voyager and what it did to the Borg is that it introduced the Borg Queen, which made no sense when you're talking about a collective. But whatever.
Kahuna says, "I love when people say they love the DS9 and the first abiding quality they attribute to it is that it's nothing like Star Trek."
Oh,
I mean, that
Kahuna
is
is
why I love
100%
DS9
wrong.
because
It is totally Star Trek. He's just wrong on that.
Well, I mean, I do like that they actually went down the road of the Federation getting its hands dirty during an actual fucking conflict.
Oh yeah, the whole
that's
framing of the
one
Romulans
of the things
was
I
freaking
love.
amazing.
Because that's when you get does the devil dance in the moonlight?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it has the devil, or maybe it does. I don't remember. Anyways, it's supposed to be Cisco logging that.
It's a great episode.
Hey, we need the Romulans to get into the war on our side because we are getting our asses handed to us. Us and the Klingons are getting absolutely decimated by the Cardassians and the Dominion.
The Jem'Hadar, yeah.
Yeah, and then so they're like, all right. By the way, the Federation approved of tricking the Romulans.
Yep.
It's a key fact. And of course, he goes to Garrick, and Garrick, by the way, is planning from the very beginning to kill this dude. I've watched video on the theory. I don't know if you've seen it, Bob.
No, but I 100% agree with you. Yeah, from the start, he was going to kill the guy. There's
Well,
no doubt.
It was specifically the healing meta gel, because in the episode, the amount of quantity he wants to get, and it can also be used as a bomb, by the way. And like the amount he paid to someone else to get the information, he had like a shit ton left over for himself. I'm like, he definitely planned to kill him. And Cisco at least had to know, at least deep down, that it was probably going to happen somewhere. But that's what I love about DS9. Is because, I mean, correct me wrong,
I'm sorry,
Gino. I don't think
Christina's
we've
got me
ever
laughing
actually.
because she said Kardashians with
Yeah.
the other Kardashian spelling.
Hey, for the longest time when I watched Star Trek, that's what I thought too. I'm like, wait, why are they fighting the Kardashians?
Gold.
That's freaking hilarious. They deserve
yeah.
it.
Also, Gul Dukat did nothing wrong.
Gul Dukat is probably one of the best Trek villains out there.
You know what's so funny? So
He's very relatable.
what's I forgot the other name of the show with Artie.
Artie.
70s show. It opens up with the piano, right? The wife and him singing the piano. There's not,
Oh,
like,
All in the
liberals.
Family.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So you know in that show that the writers absolutely wanted you to hate Artie, the father,
Yeah.
and yet everyone fucking loves him in this show because he's the most based.
What's up, Everly?
The same thing happened with Gul Dukat. The writers for DS9, by the way, they were like full-on commies. Really did not like that fans were really liking Gul Dukat. So they were trying to make him worse and worse throughout the seasons. Here we go. Let me show Gul Dukat.
One of those that happens from time to time in television They make a character they want you to hate, but they make them too good.
It's the
It is.
Rorschach
It's
effect.
the Rorschach effect.
It's just funny because they keep trying to make him do more and more despicable shit. Yeah, then they try to make you empathize with them throughout the show. Like they're always a horrible person. He took place in the Holocaust of the Bajorans.
Yep.
But he was also like in love with Bajorans, and
It's
wanted
like
to
he also married a Bajoran.
yeah, that he had like a half daughter that he actually loved to the point where she got murdered. He fucking went mentally insane when
Well,
she
he
died.
believed himself to be a freaking god at one point.
Yes.
Well, you know, we all have those stages in life.
Well,
Evelyn
technically,
Music
he
says-
turned.
Can't say that I've ever thought myself to be a god.
To be fair,
Evelyn
he did
Music
actually
says,
turn into a god.
"Watching."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
he
he
turns
did.
into an emissary of the Paul Wraith, sort
Yeah,
of.
which is pretty much a god.
I suppose. I mean, he does have some pretty cool powers at the end there, and
Listen,
yet he still
even
gets
when
thrown into a pit of fire.
Yeah, and then Deus Ex Machina, the fucking wormhole aliens save Cisco, even though he should have went with them.
Oh no.
He's a great villain, great show. I was so happy when Dax died. Fuck her.
No, I'm with him on that.
She's the one. She's like the one crew member I really did not like through like most of the show.
Really, I'm okay with Dax dying, but I really would have rather have seen O'Brien's wife die. I
Oh
just
my!
cannot stand Keiko.
Dude, well, to be fair, she's not a DS9 character. She is a TNG character, and she was just as awful when they introduced her.
Yeah.
Because in I think the first episode she appears in, O'Brien's like really sad, and he's trying to like get the courage to ask her out or something. She's just an asshole. The best part in DS9 for the O'Brien Must Suffer is the you remember the episode where Julian and O'Brien are like trying to they get hired or they get brought on to disarm the weapons of mass destruction between these two species, and then like a death squad of both factions end up killing all the doctors and everything, and they escape.
Yeah, I know.
And they
which one.
think O'Brien's dead because they fabricate it to make it look like it just
She
blew
says
up.
the way she knows that it's fake is because he never drinks coffee after 2 or some crap like
Yeah.
that. And he's like, I drink coffee after 2 all the time. What the hell are you talking about, woman?
Look, yeah, that's literally what saves him is her saying that earlier in the episode. At the end of the episode, he's like, he orders coffee and she's like, what? After the time.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, I'm sure me and Billy Bob could probably talk about DS9 all day.
Oh, I can. Hold up. I will ask this, King Bob. What is your favorite O'Brien Must Suffer episode?
Oh crap! I really like the one where he's down on the planet with Bashir, and they're trying to get rescued, and so I think O'Brien is.
Which one is this?
He's got like shot or something. It's pretty early on in the show.
Is that's the episode we're talking about, or we're just talking about the blood one?
It might be
because he gets injured, and like he's like kind of dying. While Julian, like they're hiding out because the other two factions are looking for him to kill him.
Yeah, and he's
That
trying
one.
to tell Bashir how to fix everything, and he's
Yeah.
also trying to convince Bashir that getting married is a really good thing, which is
Yeah.
one thing I really, really like. I really like O'Brien is like, dude, you have no idea what you're missing. Being married is freaking awesome.
See you later, animation.
Have a good one, animation. Yeah, O'Brien is like they put a red shirt on him and then made him immortal.
Here's the problem with that argument. He's married to Molly, or not Molly.
Kiko.
Keiko. Molly's his
Kiko.
kid.
Yeah, Kiko. He's married to
Keiko.
her. Like the worst example of marriage.
Hey, he loves who he loves, man.
You know, I
Isn't
got
she
a
always
better one.
causing problems for him though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Dude, she's like the biggest cunt through the entire show.
Now, do you guys remember the episode where she got possessed and was a villain for like?
Yeah,
an
she was
episode?
possessed by a
Oh, yeah.
Paul Wraith.
Paul
Yeah,
Wraith,
but it's weird how naturally she took on that role.
See, the funny thing is though that a lot of my experiences with seeing married couples, I see a lot of Keiko people who are married to people, and so I was
Oh,
like,
no.
yeah, I actually kind of understand that experience.
All right, I'm gonna give Hard Time. That is my
Oof.
favorite. I don't know if you remember that
Oh.
episode.
This is the most memorable. I wouldn't call it my favorite. I mean,
It is
I
my
don't-
favorite. The
I don't know if I
the
know it by
acting he
name.
just
did in is
wince
good.
at
The
the
writing's
concept.
incredible. The concept of the story in general is fucking fantastic. If you don't
Yeah.
remember King Bob, this is the episode starts with Cisco and them arriving, and they're like, it's too late, you know, and O'Brien's been imprisoned, and he's just getting out of and being in prison, and pretty much he got sent as a spy, and they caught him, and then they already punished him, and he's only in there for like 20 minutes in the prison, which is a prison of the mind.
The
So it makes
worst
it feel
20
like
minutes
20
of his life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I remember this
and it
episode.
feels like 20 something or 25 years have passed in that prison.
Yep.
And the prison is specifically designed to fucking break you. So like he's going through like PTSD and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that
Because-
episode when it came out.
Yeah. So he
I saw all of these when they came out.
the program is to make a friend for him in prison and to make him kill the friend
Yeah, I remember that.
to break him. And then the
Yeah,
episode ends with him trying to off himself and Julian coming in. And
Yep.
It's a fucking great episode.
It's a
really
very good episode.
It was-
I agree.
Yeah, it is good, but it was just the concept is so cruel. I winced just thinking about it.
But it's in my opinion, it's the best concept of that. We have seen episodes where
is.
they're in a fake reality with the deck or whatever trying to fuck mentally. This one, just great. Also, of course, it's a O'Brien must suffer episode.
Yeah, but
Like, I don't think this would work if it was
it had more
Worf.
impact than all those other holodeck episodes put together.
Like I don't think this would work with Worf. I don't think it would work with Julian. I don't think it would work with Cisco. I don't think it would work with Kira. I don't think it would work with anyone else except O'Brien.
It might work with Cisco, but he would be the only one.
Would it?
What
It
if they
might.
put Janeway through that?
The reason why I don't think it would work for Cisco is because, but it would it change the thing from, because we've seen O'Brien must have like he gets really connected with people, right?
Yeah.
We see that in the episode where he has to infiltrate like the gang, the like mobster gang people.
Mm.
And he ends up like becoming friends with like the one dude he ends up working with or working under, and he sees like he's a really good dude and all that. So I'm like, I don't know. And like Kira, it wouldn't work for Kira because she's like a terrorist, you know, who's been in situations like that. Like Kira's the one who says, you know, if a Bajoran gets blown up killing Kardashians, it's all good. It's for the cause.
Well, actually, that was actually one of my favorite things about DS9 is they talked about, I mean, if you want to call it terrorism, you can call it terrorism. If you want to call it freedom fighting, you can call it freedom fighting. It doesn't really matter. The point is, she made it quite clear, and rightfully so, that if you don't want to kill your own kind, all the enemy is going to do is just put your own kind there in every building, and you're screwed. And so she made it quite clear that you have to be able to make those kind of sacrifices if you're going to fight someone like that.
So for me, it's just a joke because the actress keeps acting like it's lolly doll, nothing wrong, right? When in reality, it is gray blurred lines.
I don't know if I'd go
Yeah.
that far.
Yeah, well,
It's a very logical point, though.
it's a
'Cause
logical
I remember
point, but
that
it's not
episode when
morally good.
the
You cannot
Kardashians
objectively
are.
say it's morally good. Logical to do? Yes. Morally? No.
See, I disagree.
It's morally good to blow up innocent people.
I don't know if I would say it was morally
cause
good, but it's
casualty?
morally justified. because you really don't have a choice. If you're gonna fight someone like in the way that they are gonna fight, and later on that the Kardashians choose to fight when they're trying to take the Dominion out of Cardassia, you have to recognize that sacrifices have to be made, because if you don't do that, all they're going to do is just put your friendly people all over the place and take away your ability to fight whatsoever.
Hold up. You can make morally bad decisions and still win, right?
Again, I don't know if that's morally bad. It might be morally gray. Because in the end, you're still fighting for a greater good, which
But you
is
can
to
claim
get your own
anything's a
freedom
greater
back.
good.
Yeah, but if you asked the Kardashians at the very end of the show, and if you asked the Bajorans during the occupation, if they would be willing to sacrifice themselves so that Kardashians or Bajorans, whatever, could be free, I'm pretty sure they would be okay with it.
Yeah, but you're assuming. Well, first of all, you're not. There's not even an actual. You're not asking them. They're not giving you permission to blow them up with the Kardashians. You are kind of taking that away from them. The choice.
Well, that's true, but it would be kind of impossible to ask everyone for, their signed on the dotted line saying you're okay with sacrificing yourself.
But that's what.
Although that would be kind of funny. Hey, we're going to blow up this facility, so before we do, could you please sign on the dotted line saying you're okay with sacrificing yourself first?
By the way, I'm not saying that they didn't make the right decision to go about it. I just don't think it's morally right.
No, I get what you're saying. I just think it's more of a morally gray area when you're talking about something like an occupation and your only way to fight it is terrorism. Really.
You know what's really sad? I absolutely wish we got a Star Trek show after the Dominion War. Actually after, not the fucking Voyager stuff, where most of it's not really after. Because I would actually like to see them go in depth to the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Kind of getting their home planet is beyond destroyed at the end of DS9. The Dominion leveled 20 plus cities. Something like that.
Yeah, because they were punishing Kardashians for the rebels.
Yeah, for the rebelling with Garrick.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did all sorts of they killed millions.
They were bombing them.
Plain and
They
simple,
were
Garrett.
flattening cities when this was going on. Like I said, it would have been really fucking interesting to see this, and also it would be really interesting that how the Federation would try to handle, because the Romulans and Klingons don't give a fuck about them restoring their homeland. They don't care that you turned at the last minute. They don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Now I need to ask, Christy, what were you referring to when you told me to be nice? I'm not sure what that's about.
I have no clue.
I don't know either, honestly.
Anyway,
I was going to ask her sooner, but you two got into such a fascinating discussion. I was like, I'm just going to hold off.
I mean, we can continue to discuss.
Grab my
Stream
popcorn.
wrap up.
See, this kind of illustrates my point, though. This is exactly why I think DS9 is one of the best Star Treks ever written, because you can really dig deep and discuss it for hours and hours on end. Where I don't think you can quite do that with Voyager as much.
No, you can't. Not nearly as much. In
Yeah,
fact, I think the best show you could do that with is the Tuvix episode.
I actually just watched that last night.
That's gotten discussions going. And I've gone back and forth on her decisions too many times.
I think
What were
that's
you
a
saying
very good
about
episode.
Janeway? She's pointing out. You said something about Janeway.
Oh, I think Janeway is an insanely overrated captain.
Oh, I think so.
No,
But here's the thing,
I know
haven't
what
watched-
Christy's talking about.
So keep in mind, I
When I
haven't
said, what
watched
if we
Voyager.
put Janeway? I said, what if we put Janeway through O'Brien's 25-year mind prison? How would she
Oh.
handle it?
Blast.
There's no way.
Because
She
her
would,
whole thing is stubbornness. She is very.
Yeah, but O'Brien was
Strong-willed and
Scottish, and
stubborn.
even he broke. O'Brien is
yeah.
Scottish, and he broke. Okay.
that's the problem with Voyager, in my opinion. Is I think Janeway would handle it fine because Janeway could do no wrong in the show.
And that brings us back to Tuvix.
See,
So,
I
okay,
really
give us some context because I haven't actually watched Voyager.
okay. So Tuvix, I really like this episode.
Who'd we lose?
Tuvix is an episode where they're beaming back a Vulcan and an alien and a plant, and because of that,
Raven.
for some weird reason, the genetic structure of the Vulcan and the alien get combined into one person.
Oh my god.
So you have this interesting dynamic of these two people who are now occupying one space, which Star Trek has done many times, so that part is not really that interesting. But it's the part when they finally decide, oh, we have a way where we can actually now separate them. And so we can get back our old Vulcan and our old crewmate. And you have Tuvix arguing that I don't want to die, which, to be fair, I mean, he's kind of a new entity, so yeah, he really doesn't want to die. But then you also have to argue, well, these other two people, they want to exist again. So it's a very good moral argument on, what is the right way to handle this kind of situation. One of the best episodes
I
of
do want to
Voyager.
point this out. Frederick posted like a meme a while back saying there are two wolves in you, and it's O'Brien's face. Oh, sorry about the transporter accident. Sorry, I had to point that. I just had to bring that
That's
up.
good.
Thanks for crediting my posting someone else's meme.
Well, it was funny. I just remember
It was,
you posted
yeah.
it.
Because there's always those old like psychological positive thinking, like there are two wolves inside of you. There's so many jokes on it, and it's like, yeah, sorry
but
for
the
the
transporter
transporter.
one just works because it happens a lot in the show.
Yeah.
But I've gone back and forth on whether or not that's technically murder.
Well,
But-
that's the part they bring up, which I think is great.
Yeah, but technically, under that condition, you've murdered two other people for one life, right?
Well, yeah, but the argument that Tuvix makes, and I think very well, is that those people are already gone, and he now exists, whether you like it or not. The accident happened.
Or
So-
they never followed up on that, and they should have. Because what if they both retained the memories, and even though they were glad to be back, they do remember very clearly being terrified, and he was going around begging everyone, "Please don't let her do this to me." Doctor
I don't think
refused. They did it to her. What if they would like have to face consequences based on that a few episodes down the line? Because I mean, he
don't
was
think
going
they-
around begging people who said they were his friend, "Don't let her do this to me," and they just looked at him like a homeless guy asking for money, and they were broke. You know?
Well, yeah, but I think they had to because they understood that one way or another, this thing that happened was a complete transporter accident. So they wanted their friends back one way or another.
Yeah. But it's interesting. The two entities merged into one, and on one hand forms a new entity, even though memory lives on, split both between Neelix and Tuvok.
So, I'm assuming
Technically, that entity no longer exists. So in a way, Tuvix was murdered.
correct me if I'm wrong, Voyager is way more episodic than DS9, correct?
Oh, extremely. Yeah.
So that's why I don't really like. This is one thing I don't like about Team. I just don't like episodic or like 100% episodic, and there's no continuity or following up on previous storylines or anything.
No,
It's like that one should like
They
last.
do follow up on
throughout
stuff
the
now and then, but usually
Let's say-
stuff you wish they would have just ignored.
it's more episodic than DS9. Yes, that's for sure. But it's not entirely episodic. There's kind of like in anime, there's kind of like your little storylines. So there's like the Kazon part of the problem, and then there's the board part of the problem, and there's the Species 8472 part of the problem.
The series does progress, but it's not like cliffhanger. Wait till
And then
next
there's
week.
the blonde, sexy lady. Didn't they bring in like season 3, 7, 9?
Yes, 7 of 9.
Uh,
Jerry Ryan.
I don't know if she was series 3, but
Was it the end of 3, beginning of 4?
Let's say when they got rid of Kess, they brought in 7 of 9.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting. It was like they kind of determined that they needed to have some kind of
hot
blonde to bring
Which,
the
from what I
the
understand,
viewers in.
Catherine Milgrew was not happy about that.
Oh, she hated the whole idea of 7 of 9. But
Which is so strange because she and Seven had such good on-screen chemistry together. They worked together quite
that's
well.
funny because what she said much later was she really, really appreciates the whole character of 7 of 9, and she wishes that she could see the brilliance of her back when she was doing the show.
Ethan, why were you picking her up to her uncle's funeral and then taking her downstairs to get in a fight? You know?
I don't remember. I remember picking her up for her uncle's funeral, but I don't remember this part.
Oh, this actually is you? I thought she was just had someone she knew
That
as
was
Ethan as well.
years ago.
We're probably
That
boring
was
the hell out of
years
people
ago I
by
took her
talking
to her,
about Star Trek.
Anyways, it's wrap up time.
Yes, it
Maji,
is.
Are you still here, Maji? Did you fall asleep?
No, I'm here.
Did you say Transformers? Transformers?
More
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, Maji, shield time.
Hi, I'm Maji. I have nothing to shill at the moment.
Yukon, isn't that like a German drink? Yukon? German beer or something like that?
Well, since you like, who was saying Yukon?
King Bob. Or no, Christina was saying she was
You
drinking
might be
Yukon.
talking about the college here in Connecticut, University of Connecticut. That's
No,
what I'm
she
guessing.
specifically said my bottle of Yukon.
Oh, so she's talking about liquor.
Yeah.
Yukon
I
Cornelius.
think it's like a German alcohol drink.
Yeah.
Anyways, Otter.
Hi, I'm an otter. I write a book. I'm nearly done with my second book. Check out my first book on Amazon. I'm also about to do more streams with video games. Follow the otter. Be like Otter.
He has no clue what's coming this week. Anyways, King Bob
Hey, Bat Sauce.
and Butt Sauce is here.
I have nothing to shell either. I haven't written jack squat in the story that I want to write. I haven't done any reviews that I want to do. I am pretty much just failing at everything, so I'm here because I'm here.
Alrighty. Also, Butt Sauce, don't worry. You missed the big giant Star Trek discussion. Everyone fell asleep.
Butt sauce, does that come in creamy or chunky?
Ew.
Anyways, talking about chunky stuff, Frederick.
I make comics.com. Also, Proof of Comics on YouTube. We do a show every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So check it out. We have great conversation about comics, art, and random shit as well.
I don't know if
And
you can follow that up.
Wednesdays, Comics Get Commandos on PQ Box channel. Check it out.
Speaking of going commando, Frequency.
You can find my books on Amazon. Haley Star Bad Kitty and Bad Kitty Haley's World. Science, fantasy, magic-fueled sci-fi adventure. Go check it out. And you can also find me over on Substack under Frequency Studios. Also, don't worry. There are no butt sauce jokes in any of the books. I kept it clean. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Bad Sauce, I know it's late, but I'm still glad you got in here. It's good to see you. If you all enjoyed this presentation, hit the like, and if you didn't, we appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time, and God bless.
Capla.
See ya.
All right. Back to the real conversation. DS9.
What about OG Star Trek with Kirk?
No, we're talking about DS9. Best one.
Well, I do really
What about
like
the Orville?
the old Star Trek. It has some really good qualities to it.
I do feel like people overestimate the way Kirk talks in that, by the way.
Oh, big time.
People act like he talks like a complete robot, but I've like watched episodes. I'm like, he doesn't really. He kind of talks like that, but not really.
Oh, he never. I mean, not to the point that they exaggerate it, but everybody knows who they're even though it's exaggerated, everybody knows who they're impersonating when they do it.
I know, but like every time I see it, it's like over exaggerated to the point where I'm like, he does not talk like that.
Oh, yeah, that's how Jim Carrey does it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, there is a. I can't remember who it was that did it, but there's a thing where William Shatner does a thing looking at William Shatner impressions. And he does it so deadpan. It's insanely hilarious.
Well, we're going to have to check that out soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Couple.
Night.
I'll see if I can find
Jewish space laser.
Oh, that's who we lost.
Jewish space laser.